Hey guys, Sean here. Today, Luke and I are back with another tier list. Today, we'll be finishing off our series where we rank the best banned cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! By ranking the best banned main deck monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! There's a lot here, there's 26. I think that's the most amount of banned cards tied with Link monsters. So let's get right into it. We have some tiers here. We have
Barrier on my statue till my storm wins. We have Fairy Tale No, that's not once per turn. And Victory Dragon these nuts.
Let's get into it. Let's begin with a boy who needs to be freed, Ronin Totem.
Bring him back. I really want Ronin Totem to come back. I'm not even a really big frog guy, but I feel like Ronin Totem just paid for the sins of Sprite. But Sprite is so irrelevant right now that the only problematic card was Elf, and Elf is already banned in TCG. We already talked about it in a previous video with the banned links, and we agree Elf can stay banned. Like, I don't know why it's still there on Master Duel, just because it's so generic for a bunch of decks and take advantage of Link 2s. Link 2s and Rank 2s and Level 2 monsters. But Ronin Totem, I feel like, was just a different case. I think if Ronin Totem came back, I would probably only play him at 1 in my Sprite deck. Just because we already have the Ice Barrier monster of like Mage and stuff like that to go for totally awesome in Sprites, that Ronin Totem would only serve more so as a slight extender or even as like a bit of a recovery card. He's not necessarily going to be an integral part of a combo. We're far beyond the days of Frog FTKs and stuff like that. Ronin Totem's not really a problem anymore. Definitely deserves to be in Victory Dragon these nuts.
Next up we have Dandelion. Now my genuine, realistic reaction was, that's not once per turn. I read this guy and I'm like, that's not that broken, he would come off. And I looked at it again. That's not once per turn? No, he needs to be up at least here. If he sent to grave summon 2 tokens, not once per turn, so you just bring him back and then send him to grave again and get 2 more tokens. This card's kind of crazy.
Absolutely insane. We already talk about, like, I feel like every video we make of these, we're always talking about how broken it is to just spam the board with a bunch of tokens. We're talking about links with Link Cross, we're talking about XZs with the Tomahawk dude and everything. Tokens are so broken when they're abused, and they can be abused so often. With Dandelion, it's going to be no exception. Dandelion was so broken, it got banned all those years ago because it was so broken, and if you're just going to put it in modern format, it's going to be even more broken. There was no power creep on this guy. This dude will forever be banned. I can never see him coming back. There's no way. Fairy Tale, no, absolutely.
Next up, Phoenixian Cluster Amaryllis. This is FTK the card. I don't know how realistic this would be in like modern Yu-Gi-Oh to pull off an FTK with this card, but just because it can FTK, we'll put it up here. It could come off the ban list probably and not cause too much of a problem, but it probably shouldn't, just because, you know, it can FTK. But I don't think it's top tier.
Speaking of top tier though,
yeah,
oh my god,
it's your boy Magical Scientist.
Magical Scientist is insane. It would be even more insane if it came back, but here's the reason why it was insane back then. There was like the Magical Scientist FTK, where basically what you did was had Magical Scientists on the field that was most likely brought out with 1-for-1, and then you already had Catapult Turtle on the field. So Magical Scientist is able to pay 1,000 life points and you're able to bring out a fusion monster from your extra deck. And then what you're able to do is use Catapult Turtle to use its effect to tribute that fusion monster and then inflict damage equal to a half its attack. But you're able to pull it off to perfectly kill your opponent with 8,000 life points using just Magical Scientist and Catapult Turtle. And I tell you, I don't think I've seen Catapult Turtle played since 2005. But if Magical Scientist was here, there's way more fusion monsters they can bring out now. There is absolutely no way this card can ever come back. Not only is there a lot more like fusion monsters that can come out, there's a lot of broken fusion monsters that don't necessarily need to be fusion summoned in order for them to come out. Magical Scientist can never come back. I think it is the craziest card on this entire list.
That's just only half the issue. The other half is that you can summon a bunch of fusions, and that's just free Link material. That's free Xyz material. You can do whatever you want with those cards. There is no restriction. So it's just insane. For the cost of 1,000 life points, it's basically Soul Charge, but infinite Soul Charge. It's crazy. Next up, Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds. Comparatively, it doesn't feel that good. But yeah, Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds, just a really annoying floodgate. Prevents your opponent from summoning anything besides wind monsters. Most decks don't have wind monsters. The only good wind deck was really Flandreese. And what Flandreese could do is punish you for trying to beat into it, because M-Pen can lower your attack during the battle phase. So if you even try to attack into this, your guy's just dying and the barrier statue stays up. And you could easily get this out because you could just search it because it's a winged beast. And in Flandreese, you could just search it. So yeah, it's just another one of those broken floodgates. All the barrier statues like generally should be banned because at one point or another they will be broken. But yeah, this was just mainly banned because of Flandreese could just take so much advantage of it. And yeah, let's keep it banned.
Yeah, I think it's just because of how easily it can be abused, because all the other barrier statues aren't banned, but I do agree they probably will be banned at one stage or the other, just based on how well a deck can abuse bringing it out. But with the likes of Flu and stuff like that, yeah, they were absolutely able to like completely pop off and still get barrier statue out, which is completely insane. But then there's other win decks that they used to take advantage of Simorgh and use Simorgh to bring this card out as well, considering that's a level 4. It's really, really easy to bring out with Simorgh, but Simorgh's banned now. But even with Simorgh banned, I still wouldn't feel comfortable with Stormwind's coming back. I think it is insane and definitely deserves to be in the top tier.
Next up, Jeogin, very similar, not as broken, because it has a lot less attack, harder to search, but it does the same thing, stop your opponent from special summoning monsters while it's on the field, and also has the effect when you like discard a spell or something to just destroy all monsters your opponent controls, which is just unnecessary and rude, to be honest. So it's really, really good. So yeah, don't bring him back. He was also banned just because of branded pretty much with Sanctifier Dragon. This was just one of the targets they could bring back. And yeah, just keep him gone because nobody likes Floodgates.
Yeah, especially really easy to bring out Floodgates. This thing that annoyed me about a bunch of Floodgates that Konami are actually tackling now is the ones that are very easy to bring out. This guy was just a normal summon, and then you basically stopped your opponent from playing altogether, from like special summoning the monsters. Some of the older like trap floodgates, such as there can only be one, summon limit and stuff like that, you just flip up a trap and then your opponent can't play. Easy to set up floodgates should not be a thing in this game, so this definitely deserved to be banned. I don't know if I could say it was banned a little too late, but you know, I'm just glad that it's off this game altogether and should never return.
Next up we have Jin, Releaser of Rituals. Now, what this card does is that while it's in the graveyard, you can banish it as part of the cost of a ritual summon. Now, first of all, think about the good ritual decks in the game. Of course you have Voiceless Voice, but think about like the best deck in the game right now, Mitsurugi. You can banish this from the graveyard as part of the cost. It's only level 1, but if you summon a monster using this card as material, while that monster's on the field, your opponent cannot special summon monsters, which is insane because it's a lingering effect that does not apply to the monster you summon. Therefore, you just can't do anything to this card. You can't like negate the monster that was summoned off of it, because while it's on the field, you just won't be able to summon cards. Yeah, of course, all the good ritual decks will just abuse this card now. Voiceless, Mitsurugi, of course, being like the main one. But back in the day, this was crazy in stuff like Necros. And with the new Necros support, maybe this card will be even crazier. So yeah, don't bring this card back.
Yeah, I don't know if this was a victim of bad card design, or if it was just because it was kind of designed at a time when rituals were not good at all. But yeah, this card can never come back. Rituals have come too far. A lot of ritual decks are very, very consistent now, especially if you look at Necros. There's no way this card can never come back.
Next up, Artifact Sight. Now, I think this card's better than Stormwind's, mainly because it's generic. So you can pretty much put this in any deck because there is a link to Artifact card that just kind of sets this card to your field. And if your deck can just pop it, you're basically locking your opponent out of the extra deck for the rest of the turn, which is just crazy. Any deck could play this, just generic in any deck. Locks your opponent out of the extra deck. Lingering effect as well, so, you know, you can't really remove it from the field like the barrier statue. This card was insane. Really abused with like Vertanaconda, DPE, stuff like that, because your DPE could just pop this and you just lock your opponent extra deck and you just win. Searchable off of a generic link too. This card's broken. Next up, Gimmick Puppet Nightmare. Not as broken as some of the other floodgates. When this card is summoned, you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn besides Gimmick Puppets. Now, the reason this is broken is because if you can summon this to your opponent's side of the field, its effect will activate, your opponent can't really stop the effect from activating, and they just can't summon for the rest of the turn. The problem is, Branded can summon this card to your opponent's side of the field off of their Sanctifier Dragon. So, summon to your opponent's side of the field, they can't summon for the rest of the turn, and they pretty much lose the duel. Yeah, it's just another one of those cards that it's just a floodgate, and it really should not come off the ban list. I understand that it wasn't meant as a floodgate because it's just meant to stop you as the gimmick puppet player from being able to like summon stuff that are not gimmick puppets. But the problem is, Sanctifier Dragon could just summon it to your opponent's side of the field, and since it technically counted as being summoned on their side of the field, they can't summon monsters besides gimmick puppets. So yeah, it's not really Gimmick Puppet Nightmare's fault, but it still should not come back.
Yeah, definitely. You know what? It's not even good in gimmick puppets anyway, so gimmick puppet players aren't really crying for this card to come back regardless. So this could probably stay banned. It definitely shouldn't come back.
Next up, Victory Dragon. Now, Victory Dragon is a very weird one. It's more like a joke. Like, this card is not taken seriously. It essentially it's a prize card, just a special kind of like anniversary type of card. If this card attacks your opponent's life points directly and reduces their life points to 0, you win the match. Now, what the match means is that if you're playing a best of 3, you win the entire set, basically. The problem is, with this card, your opponent, in like damage calculation, is able to surrender the game and go to game 2. Therefore, the effect of Victory Dragon does not apply, and you just basically play it out as usual. The only issue is if your opponent does not notice, which is very possible considering this card is like 20 years old, then they just lose the entire match. So nowadays they will still print these cards, but specifically as kind of like promotional promo cards that legit cannot be used in a duel. They're not banned, they're just unusable cards. But this card, I guess, was printed, was technically legal for a time, and was banned because this is just a ruling that should not be in place.
Yeah, this is just a victim of bad card design. We can't really blame it. They've made like prize cards similar to it since then, but they're all illegal. They're just silly prize cards. It's just one of those cards that can just fade into obscurity, so it's not even really worth talking about. So it kind of just deserves to be in the middle of the list. It's kind of in a weird purgatory right now that will probably never escape.
Next up, Eclipse Wyvern. Let's make Dragon Link the best deck in the game.
If this card is sent to the graveyard by any means, so even if you use them as link material or you foolish bury them, what it does is you can banish one level 7 or higher light or dark dragon monster from the deck, which is great. But then if this card is banished from the graveyard, you can add that monster banished by this card's effect to your hand. So Red Eyes Darkest Metal Dragon was of course like the obvious one to go with, and Darkest Metal can still be played in a lot of like dragon decks nowadays. It can be very like meta relevant, and the reason why I still see Eclipse Wyvern staying banned is because it's also a light dragon itself. So say you get it into the graveyard, you use the effect to banish that level 7 or higher dragon like Darkness Metal or something like that. You can actually just use your own bestials to banish your own Eclipse Wyvern in order to bring out your bestials, get your bestial effect, and then you can add that banished monster of Eclipse Wyvern to get it to your hand. And if it's Darkness Metal Dragon and you use Magnum Boat to banish Eclipse Wyvern, not only do you get your Magnum Boat effect to go off, but then you also have your Darkness Metal Dragon, which is really, really crazy. There's just a lot of ways that this can be abused, which is why it's probably going to stay banned forever, and especially since the introduction of Bestials, I don't really see this card coming back.
Next up we have Level Eater. Again, it's another one of those that's not once per turn. This card's crazy and probably can never come back. I'm going to put it down here just because it's not like, unfair. I mean, it is unfair, but it's not like an FTK. It's not locking your opponent out of doing stuff. It's just a card that you can pretty much keep getting it back from the graveyard, keep using it as material for like links or anything pretty much, but you just keep bringing it back. So basically, if this card's in the graveyard, you can target a level 5 or higher monster, decrease its level by 1, and special summon this card from the graveyard. Because it has to be level 5 or higher, if you decrease a monster down to level 4, you can no longer bring it back. But if you bring out some guy like a level 10, you can summon this guy 5 times. It's very insane, not once per turn, falls into the same category as Dandelion. I mean, Dandelion is probably more broken, to be honest, because you kind of have to go through a lot more hoops with Level Eater. But I mean, at the same time, they're very comparable.
I think they're evenly matched, to be honest with you. It just really depends on what you're going for. I think Level Eater, I would give the edge to Level Eater just based on the fact of how easy it is to bring out high level monsters now. Like with the likes of Phantom of Yubel, I'll use for example. It is next to nothing to bring out that really high level 11 monster that it's so easy to kind of loop Level Eater over and over again. So I'd give the edge to Level Eater, but I can still see your argument why they're both very, very similar.
Next up, we have Kelbeck and yugioh. Now, these cards, they do a lot more than just, mill cards, but the main effect of these cards is that if they're sent to the graveyard by card effect, both players mill 5. Both cards do this, which is crazy. Now, imagine this in tier, that is insane, but in so many decks, being able to mill 5 is crazy. However, if we imagine a world where tier doesn't exist, these cards are not very good. These cards were only good because of tier, and of course, if they were brought back, tier would be like a meta threat, it would be insane. But in a vacuum, these cards are not too crazy. Of course, there are strategies that rely on milling cards, but they only mill the cards. It's not like you mill and special summon, like Zombie Vampire and stuff like that. But they're just a bit too insane, because imagine you mill one of them, they mill 5, and they mill the other one, and you mill another 5, and that's already 10 cards out of your opponent's deck, and 10 cards in your own graveyard that you can abuse. So yeah, these cards should not come back. They also have their own effects where, like, if they're special summons, they do specific things. That's just like cherry on top, and they're also level 4, so you could kind of use them with your Time Thief Reader and stuff like that in tier. But yeah, they're broken. They shouldn't come back. In a world where tier doesn't exist, I could see them coming back. In a similar vein, we have Fairy Tale Snow, but this card should never come back. We'll go here.
I put it up 1.
Yeah,
to be honest
honestly,
with you. Like, I don't know what it is about Snow. I just keep forgetting how broken she is. It's just the fact that, what really bothers me about her is just the fact that she's Book of Moon when she's summoned, but she can so easily be summoned because her summon's a quick effect by banishing 7 cards from your graveyard.
Graveyard, hand, or field.
Graveyard, hand, or field, or whatever. But what I find so annoying is that it's any card. If it was at least restricted to, like, monsters or something like that, or spells or whatever, I don't think it would be as bad, but the fact that it can be anything is something that really grinds my gears, just because it's so blatantly generic. And not only that, depending on what cards you banish, you can get a lot of advantage from that. There was a brief window where I think Konami brought this back for like 1 format, and like even the common copies were being sold for at least like €5 or whatever, and I will admit, I threw it into Virtual World because I thought it was quite funny, because you can kind of recycle all of your stuff using Chucha. But seeing it being abused in all of the other sort of decks, is this still legal in Master Duel right now?
It is.
It is still legal in Master Duel right now, yeah, because I remember we played a match, and I think the dude was playing Tier or something like that, and just the recycling they were able to do constantly and always bringing out Snow. It's so annoying. It deserves to be on the top of the namesake of the tier, Fairy Tale No.
And don't forget, this card is not once per turn, not once per chain. If you use the effect, banish 7 cards from your graveyard, your opponent Bristols you chain the effect again, banish another 7 to special summon it. It's insane, it's broken, it should never come back. Next up, Glow Up Bulb, bring him back. This card was a victim of Halki Fiberax, that Crystron card that everyone hates. Crystron is cringe, we all know this. Glow Up Bulb should come back. When it's sent to grave, you mill top card of your deck and you can bring it back. That is once per turn. So this card is...
That's once per duel.
Once per duel! This card could easily come back. He did nothing wrong.
Honestly, I could see him coming back, because his last printing was in the quarter century Bonanza. So, like, they already really upgraded him like crazy to like Platinum Secret Rare and quarter century Secret Rare. So it's like they're teasing us a little bit. They're like, oh, we know you guys want these cards, but like, you gotta work for it. Glow Bulb can definitely come back. I don't see it being abused. Once per duel effects, in some circumstances, I can see why they're once per duel. This is one of them. I understand why it's once per duel. I still think it could come back though. It's not like Cyber Dark Worm where it's like a pointless once per duel. You can understand why it's once per duel, so it's very well restricted.
Next up, Cyberstein. This guy is very good. Pay 5k and special any fusion monster from your extra deck. And there are ways that you can turn this guy to a psychic, and there's ways that you just won't have to pay the cost. So you can just like turbo out all of your fusion monsters. I know it's a bit gimmicky, but even in like Sprite and stuff like that, get this guy out, pay 5k, bring out any guy you want. It's beautiful, but it should be banned.
It's absolutely insane. I know you mentioned that like there's ways you can manipulate him being a psychic, and then with another guy you don't have to pay life points for a psychic monster's effect. But it's so funny seeing Cyberstein standing next to Magical Scientist. Yet if it's just going like band for band, if they're going 1-on-1, Cyberstein is still technically 5 times worse than Magical Scientist.
Okay, that's a good point.
So you can still see the drastic difference between these cards that both do the same thing. But yeah, we should just stop cheating out fusion monsters.
Next up, Grinder Golem. He's kind of similar to Dandelion, where he just summons 2 tokens, but he's a lot harder to get out, and he's only okay. Upon further inspection, this guy is a bit insane. We'll still put him below Dandelion, but you summon him to your opponent's side of the field, and you instantly get 2 tokens. It does stop you from normal summoning for the rest of the turn, but that hardly matters. This guy is a free Link 2 instantly, and it gives your opponent a monster, which turns off cards like Imperm, which is actually very important. It even turns off cards like the Molcharmies. So if your opponent does not shotgun Molcharmy, you summon this guy, and then your opponent just can't Molcharmy you anymore. So it's very, very good. And of course, the 2 tokens are just insane. So yeah, very much like Dandelion, but you know, a bit kind of weirder to use. You only get 2 tokens. It's not like you can kind of loop them, I don't think. But yeah, pretty good.
Fiber Jar, hear me out. I think he can bring him back. I think it's really, really funny. Fiber Jar is a flip monster. No one plays flip monsters anymore, and if you see your opponent like setting a monster and like passing and stuff like that, you know they're up to something. So you're gonna do everything you can to like remove that monster without having it be flipped or attacking into it. So Fiber Jar has the effect, it's a flip effect, that when he's flipped up, each player shuffles all cards from their hand, field, and graveyard into the deck, then draw 5 cards. That is so dumb and so funny that I don't see how it can be a problem. It's okay, maybe it can be a problem, but still, I just think it's too hilarious. It's just one of those obscure cards that you just never really see anyone playing. It would be like Cyber Jar and Morphing Jar and stuff like that. They never end up working out. Like I just think this can come back and no one would play it. Just people looking for a good time and a laugh, and that's what we're missing from this game: a good time and a laugh. So bring him back.
True. So true. Next up, the Tyrant Neptune. Now this card, it doesn't seem crazy like just by looking at it, but essentially when you tribute summon this card, it gains the effects of the monster used to tribute it. So you're basically like copying the effects of a really strong monster. That can lead to a lot of issues. Essentially, FTKs pretty much is the main thing. You activate an effect like to burn your opponent, bring this guy out, and just use the effect to burn again. So it pretty much bypasses any like once per turn type of effect. And I'm sure you could abuse this card now in like modern Yu-Gi-Oh! So it's cool. I like the gimmick. I think copying effects is like a cool idea, but it never leads to like good things happening. So yeah, let's just keep them off for now.
Yeah, FTKs can never come back. Definitely deserves to be high on the list.
Next up, Spiral Master Plan. Now, back in the day, I may have been a Spiral Defender when I had never played against the deck, but nowadays, I'm like, this should not come back. I understand that it could, and it wouldn't be an issue. Again, Master Rule has it, it's not that bad, but it's a +3. It's insane. On summon, you add a card. When it's sent to grave, you add 2. What the hell is this? At least it's once per turn, but this card's insane. In fairness, I'll put it down here because, you know, it's a good card, of course. A +3 is insane, but in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! There are worse cards than this. But I just don't like Spiral as a deck, so I'm just going to put it here, but it is what it is.
I'd agree with you. I'd put it in that's not once per turn, just because I think, yeah, it's crazy getting a +3, but it's Spiral cards at the end of the day, and I know Spiral can be a very powerful deck, but it did get power crept quite a lot. Unless if they get some really broken support, I don't necessarily see Spiral being a top meta contender if Master Plan ever did come off the list. So yeah, probably bang on the middle next to Victory Dragon. It's fine. It's in the middle.
Next up, Fishborg Blaster. It's very similar to Glow Up Bulb in the way that it's kind of just banned as like being a generic kind of tuner guy. Now, a funny thing about him is that you can special summon him by discarding a water monster, so technically this can trigger the effects of like your Mermail and Atlantean cards, which is kind of funny. Like, you might actually see this card in those decks, probably not, but maybe in some synchro like variant of them, you could see it. But it is harder once per turn. It's not that broken. It could easily come back. It's just a fish. It's just a guy.
Yeah, honestly, I don't really see him changing anything if he ever did come back. He's kind of like Glow Bulb. I think he's a little bit worse than Glow Bulb, to be quite honest with you, so he can definitely come back.
Next up, Block Dragon. Very similar to like Master Plan, but I'd say I want to put him up here. Because Master Plan, of course, is insane. But Block Dragon is just way more like generic and annoying. Any rock deck can play this. And of course, the only real good rock decks are like Adamantipator and stuff like that. But being able to pretty much like get 3 rock monsters from your deck to your hand, so it can be like your Quakimeru guy and like 2 Adamanticators because they're level 2, they have to equal up to the level of Block Dragon itself, so level 8. Add 3 rock monsters. Insanity. For free. It's just crazy. When it's sent to grave, you just do it. And that shouldn't be in the game. I'm not a fan of Block Dragon.
Yeah, I think that the main problem with it is that it resummons itself easily to Link Climb and stuff like that. And considering that it's able to get so much advantage already, having it go the extra mile to Link Climb in certain decks just means it makes it too far. I know he's back in Master Duel and stuff like that, but I don't know. I really would not like to have to deal with him in TCG. And I will say this, the longer he's banned here, the more likely we get Meow Meow Mew back. And that's something I'm striving for right now.
Next up, Mind Master. FTKs. We all love FTKs. Yeah, this is the FTK squad right here. Snow up here for whatever reason. But yeah, FTKs. Mind Master has the effect where you can pay 800 life points, tribute a Psychic monster, and special summon a level 4 or lower Psychic monster from your deck. You can do this as many times as you want. You can keep tributing the monster that you like special summon. So if you have a bunch of Psychic monsters in your deck, you special summon a monster, you get the advantage, you tribute it, get another monster, and you can see where this can be an issue. This can do FTKs, this can manipulate your life points for some weird strategies back in the day with stuff like self-destruct button, even last turn. Yeah, this card is insanity. This card's insane. Don't bring it back.
Yeah, also the fact that emergency teleports at 3 now, I don't really see this guy come back either.
And finally, Blackwing Gofu, the Vague Shadow. Again, it's another token guy. If you control no monsters, special summon it from your hand, and summon 2 tokens. It's the same as these guys. It's a Blackwing, but it doesn't really like function in Blackwings, to be honest. It's just these guys. Arguably worse, but yeah, it's a token squad.
One deck that did kind of take advantage of it was the likes of Metal Foes. So with Metal Foes, what they were able to do was they were able to use Gofu and another level 5 or whatever, and then they can go into Zulkin, because Zulkin doesn't specifically need a certain level, just needs 2 monsters of the same level that's level 5 or higher, including a tuner. So they would use that Gofu for that and their other like level 5 guy. And then what they were able to do was they were able to use the tokens as kind of like popping material to get some of their effects as well. So you can kind of see how it was already being taken advantage of before Links. And now just having an introduction of Links into the circulation as well means that it's probably going to stay banned for a while.
Certain Fiendsmith control decks already run like Steam the Cloak for like the single token. So they would love to run this card. Just 2 free tokens and a body. Insanity. Alright, that's it for the list of the best banned main deck monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! There's a lot, and they're very insane, but they're very funny, and honestly very nostalgic. A lot of these cards are, they were kind of like legal at the time, but as Yu-Gi-Oh! Progressed, they just became a bit too much. Maybe a once per turn on some of these cards would do them a world of good. But let us know what you think in the comments. Make sure you check out the other parts of this tier list if you haven't already, if you want to see us rank the other banned cards in the game. If you want to buy any of these cards, maybe you want to play a retro format, make sure you check out our TCG Player affiliate link in the description. If you use that link to buy cards, you directly support the channel and help us keep up the content. If you also want to support us, make sure you check out our memberships. Members get access to our videos as soon as we make them. Shout outs to all of our members, Kieran Thompson, Ron Eel, Jojo TV, John Cran, and Vex. We really appreciate the continued support. Thank you so much. And again, thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for more tier lists.